Hey, how's it going? My name's Alex, and as I'm sitting here doing my restart, I get a light bulb moment, and it's like, wait, Alex, hold on. Why are you doing a restart when you could be running recaps? Aren't recaps more productive? Won't you get more work done? Because then you never have to do a restart. And so I decided, I'm like, that's actually a good question. Let me crunch the numbers on that. All right, so the really quick version or explanation of the logs is most people in the United States run the 70 hours in 8 days, okay? That means you can work a maximum between drive time and on-duty time. On-duty time is loading, unloading, like you're working on around the truck, and drive time is obviously you driving. So that means you have a maximum of 70 hours that you could possibly do in 8 days. Now, there is an option to do 60 hours in 7 days, but nobody runs that, right? That doesn't make, like, who does that? Nobody runs that log. Everybody runs 70-hour 8-day log, okay? So, or like a huge majority. Now, if you're a local driver, you do hourly. If you're on the road maybe less than 1 week of the month, then you're exempt from logs, and RV transporters are exempt from logs. But if you are over 10,000 pounds GVWR on your vehicle, or GCWR, that means if your vehicle or combination of vehicles over 10,000 pounds, you have to run logs. Guys, do not be misled. Do not misunderstand me. Hotshots, non-CDL hotshots have to run logs, and it has to be ELD. It can't be paper logs, unless of course you're on the road, like I said, less than 1 week out of the month. That's the only exceptions. But anyways, moving on. So 70 hour, 8 days, that's your maximum, okay? So if you do, right, recaps versus restarts, that's what we're gonna do. If you do though, recaps, okay, what is a recap? Okay, because you have 8 days of time, that means your 9th day doesn't count towards your 7 days. It's your most recent 8 days. So it's 7 days plus today, right? That's what your log counts. So if that means that you could do 70 hours divided by 8 days, that means you could do 8.75 hours a day and run nonstop. 8.75. And so maybe some days you have 10 or 9, and then some days you only have 6.5 because it took you forever to load or something like that, whatever the case may be. However, that's how you run recaps. A maximum of 8.75, that means 8 hours and 45 minutes, right? A day that's on duty and driving time total for that day. And then you could run as long as you want. Or you could run 11 hours of drive time a day, and then at 6 days, 11 times 6 is 66. So you're now 4 hours away from that 70-hour limit. That means on that 7th day, you'd have to do a restart, right? And you can do a restart as soon as you want, or anytime you want. You don't have to, there isn't a certain amount of hours that you have to max out before you're eligible for restart. Any 34-hour period, I know the old law used to be that it has to be 2 shifts of 1 to 5 or something like that, but that's no longer the case. So any 34-hour consecutive off-duty period counts as a restart. Any 34-hour consecutive. So that's your restart. So that means restart, if you're doing restarts, you're doing 11, 11, 11, 6 days in a row, and then you do your 34, and then the next week, same thing. Whereas recaps, you're just doing 8 hours and 45 minutes every day for as long as possible. Okay, now let's crunch the numbers. If we're gonna compare 1 week, right, 7 days, that means 8.75 a day times 7 is 61.25. That means you can do in a week running recaps 61 hours and 15 minutes. That's how much time you'll get done. That's how much on-duty driving time you will get done in 7 days, 61.25. Now, how does that compare to restarts? So if you're doing your full drive time, 11, and I realize you're probably not gonna do a full 11, there's a PTI in there, 15 minutes, but let's just count simple, keep it simple for now, 11. I just wanna show you the difference at the extremes, right? When you're maxing out the clock. So 11 times 6 is already 66. So that means on that 7th day, even though the recap guy is running hours, you're gonna have to sit. But still, 6 times 11 is 66. And so that means on week 1, restarts are already up ahead. It's 66 versus 61.25. Now, let's say you're going to be out on the road for 4 weeks straight, almost a month basically, right? 28 days. So after 28 days, the difference is even more dramatic. For the restart guy, it's 66 times 4. That gives us 264 driving / on duty time that you will be able to put or contribute, or that you'll be able to work in a 4-week period. So 264 hours. And then when we do 61 hours and 61.25, that's 61 hours and 15 minutes. So 61.25 times 4, that gives us 245 hours. So then you take 264, I believe it was, minus 245, that gives us a difference of 19 hours. So think about this, restarts, right? Even if you're working 6 solid days and then you do a restart, and then you're working 6 solid days and then you do a restart, you're working 6 days and then a restart. So 4 weeks in a row, that gives you 264. And then the recap guy is going to run every day 8.7 hours or 8.75 hours every day for 4 weeks straight. That's only going to net him 245. And restart guy is 19 hours further along than the recap guy. And so this clearly shows you that, wait, hold on, restarts are actually better. Because keep in mind, your profitability is on the road is heavily dependent on how well you can max out your clock. And so in this eternal debate of restarts versus recaps, restarts clearly make more sense. Now, I with a few caveats, of course. If you are loading yourself, then you can essentially, like, oh, hold on, if I do this, I can be more, like, you can determine where the loads go. However, if you have a driver manager or a dispatcher, you might not have as good control on your schedule because you don't know exactly where the next load is going or something like that. So this is from a like self-dispatch owner operator. That's like where I'm coming from, that restarts are better. But also on a just normal personal level, like, where would you feel more exhausted? If you worked 8 hours a day every day all month, or if you got one solid day every week to take off? Right? Because at the end, after running hard for a week, you got some laundry to do. You want to tidy up your truck, clean out your trucks. Maybe there's garbage, maybe some straps to roll up or something. Because technically that's on duty time, but still, maybe there's some personal things you want to do, some errands you want to run, something like that, right? At the end of the day, it's like taking that one restart day is actually more beneficial for you on a human level. But not to mention, it's also more productive. So it's literally a win-win. So restarts are definitely a better thing to do. And at the end of the year, I think you're up like over 200 hours more. And 200 hours, guys, that results in a lot of, that's a big difference in revenue. So if you figure every 11-hour period should gross you about $700 to $900 roughly, like that then will result in a huge difference in revenue. Huge difference. So settle the debate, restarts versus recaps once and for all. Restarts are more productive. Now, you might be saying, oh, Alex, but you're counting 8.75 times 7. Well, it doesn't matter that you're going to be running that 8th day, because I'm going to be running the 11 on the 8th day, after I complete the restart. So the math lines up, guys. I'm telling you, restarts are more productive. So, no, I hit the steering wheel. So I shouldn't feel bad doing a restart. The sun's coming up, so that's great. But still, I shouldn't feel bad for doing a restart. And if you're one of my drivers, do restarts. So that's because it's more productive. So yeah, that'll settle that. But I keep getting a lot of HOS questions, guys. The new hours of service, I made a totally separate dedicated video for the new hours of service, kind of reviewing them a year ago when they were still in discussion stages, and then they got passed. So that's good. But the hours are very simple. Okay, you as a professional driver can work 14 hours a day. That is your maximum working. But of that 14-hour shift in a day, only 11 hours can be driving. So you can drive a maximum of 11, but you have 3 hours of working. So that's like loading, unloading, tarping, things like that. Working on your truck, something that's considered work. Off-duty periods are usually you have no responsibility to the truck or the company. That's off-duty. So if you're doing anything on or around the truck, you have to log that as on-duty. And actually, if you really dig down deeper into the FMCSA, into the rules, into the laws, if you really dig down deeper, any on-duty time or any time working for a different job is also on-duty time. And so that's why running only weekends or part-time hotshotting falls apart quick, because technically when you're working at your other job, that has to be in your log as on-duty time. That's not off-duty time. And that if that time is on-duty time, well, that means it's eating up your 70-hour clock. And so hotshotting part-time literally cannot work and is against the law. Literally, and I mean technically. So keep that in mind. If you're gonna ask me a part-time question, you can't do it, because if you're gonna work 40 hours at your normal job and try to run hotshot on the weekend, well, you already ate up 40 hours just working at your other job. And that means on this weekend load, on this weekend run, you're only going to be able to get in another 30 hours before your 70 is maxed out. So part-time hotshot doesn't work. We're going down a rabbit hole now. But anyways, so 14-hour shift, 11-hour can be drive time, 3-hour can be working on the truck, or doing loading, unloading, or working on the truck, right? And that's a day. So 14 hours a day, 11 hours a day. And to reset that, to get your new hours again, you have to be off duty for 10 hours. That's an actual 10-hour period of off-duty time. That is not like, oh, I'm gonna off duty and then try to go to get some fuel. Like, fuel is on duty. If you go drive some fuel and you log fuel at 9:45 or 9 hours and 45 minutes, you didn't get your 10 hours. So it has to be a complete 10-hour period. And that's because we don't have an official sleeper, so we have to be 10 hours off duty. But that's not it, guys. Keep in mind, the old laws used to be that you have to take a 30-minute off-duty break. They updated that in 2020. So now, if you want to drive your full 11 in one day, you have to get out of the truck, whether it's on duty or off duty, for a 30-minute period, okay? It has to be at least 30 minutes. And what that means is you might be driving 5 hours and then you stop and you unload. Sometimes I have like one little easy load on the back of my trailer and I unload in 10, 12, 15 minutes. Well, to make sure I can keep driving my next 5 hours or so, I just unload for 30 minutes, right? I don't jump in the truck and I milk the clock essentially to unload for 30 minutes. You can log unload for 30 minutes, or if I get back in the truck, at the end of the day when I'm back in the driver's seat, I'm like taking pictures of the paperwork, whatever. That's still technically unloading, that's still working. But if you really wanted to, you could just log off duty. And so you could have 15 minutes unload, 15 minutes off duty, and that'll give you your still required 30-minute non-drive time, right? Not driving. It cannot be driving. You have to take a 30-minute. It used to be that it had to be a 30-minute off-duty thing, but now it's 15 minutes on duty or 15 minutes off duty or any combination, but it has to be at least 30 minutes that you got to be out of the truck. And that then will let you drive your full hours for the day, because in your driving in your ELD app, you'll notice that it counts down for an 8-hour period. So you can't drive more than 8 hours without getting out of the truck for 30 minutes. And same thing for fuel. It's like sometimes you go in there, you fill up, let's say you're pulling up to the truck stop, you get in line, so then you log fuel for whatever, it takes you 15 to 20 minutes to fill up, right? Well, once you pull forward past the fuel island like you're supposed to do, you could log off duty and then you run inside to grab some snacks or some lunch or whatever the case may be. Well, that will give you a 30-minute break. And that then means if you have an all-day driving day, that one time that you stop to fill up, make sure you get that 30 minutes, because then you can drive the rest of the time without having to stop again. Okay, so 14 hours is your shift. 11 hours of that shift can be driving, but you have to have one 30-minute stop. Okay, one 30-minute stop in between that. It can't be any sooner than 3 hours, and it can't be any later than 8 hours. So 30 minutes somewhere halfway through your day, you have to stop. And that can be either on duty or off duty. It doesn't matter. You have to stop for 30 minutes. And that's basically the hours of service, in case I didn't do a video, which I'm sure I did. But that's your hours of service basically explained. And that's restart versus recaps, basically numbers with math and everything. So let me know in the comments down below what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.